This video is sponsored by Digital. Digital is a creator tokenizing art and music into NFTs. Check out his website at danky.art. And don't forget to sign up to his newsletter to keep up to date with everything he's creating. Thanks for the sponsorship. Hello and welcome to Blockchain Gaming World with me, John Jordan. This is the YouTube channel all about blockchain games. So if you're into blockchain games, please do subscribe. So this is our monthly roundup of what's been going on for blockchain games, looking at September 2020. All the data as ever is from DappRadar. Yeah, let's kick on. So we can see to some degree a few of the trends that we've seen in previous months have been continuing, but in September we actually saw some interesting stuff going on that wasn't really kind of continuing trends. So just to do the headline stuff here, this is the most popular blockchain games, certainly the top 4 most popular blockchain games, but then also I've picked in kind of a couple here at the bottom that are worth talking about in a bit more detail, so I will do that. So this is starting in April 2020. So basically getting 6 months of data here, and as ever the vertical scale is daily active unique wallets. So this isn't we can't measure individual users, but this is like a proxy for individual users. So the most popular game continues to be Splinterlands in blue. Every one of these dots is a day, and obviously on the vertical scale it's how much activity there was. And we can see here that Splinterlands has been the most popular blockchain game really since June, and it's been kind of growing. So we have sort of put in some trend lines here, and it's got this characteristic kind of 2-week cycle, because every tournament ends after 2 weeks. So you tend to have a peak on the day the tournament ends. Everyone's playing then. What's interesting for Splinterlands is that it has a slight kind of decline. So it kind of peaked here, almost 7,000. Daily active unique wallets in August, sorry, and we've seen a little bit of dropping away. I'll talk about that in a bit more detail. I've got a special graph for that. But Splinterlands still number 1. What the game that was number 1 back here, and number 2 for some of the year, Crypto Dynasty in red. That's continued to fall away. So that's kind of hit a peak here in kind of May. Actually measuring 2. So the game runs mainly on the EOS, or the game runs on EOS and Ethereum. Most of the activity we're measuring on EOS. There's very little on Ethereum at the moment because of the gas fees, but that's why it's got a little 2 there, because we're measuring. This game is running across 2 different blockchains. So it started to decline in June. Not exactly sure why. Probably a combination of the economy becoming unbalanced, and EOS games tend to have a lot of bots on them. Anyway, we've seen this decline, and it's not really showing much signs of plateauing. So the decline's gone from over 4,000 daily active unique wallets now to under 2,000. So it's a pretty heavy decline in a few months. It's halved its audience, not really showing any signs of regaining that user base. In second place now. Was third place is Prospectors. Again, we're measuring the versions of this game running on EOS and Wax. So 2 different blockchains, the same version of the game, the same game running across 2 different versions. It's very, very steady. Seen a bit of an uptick here at the end of September, early October, to over 3,000 daily active unique wallets. But this is a game that seems to have kind of found a very solid audience. Not really clear how many bots are operating in that game. But something we can look at maybe in later months. But very, very solid. Not a lot of volatility there. Okay, next up we have Opland. This is in the orange. So Opland is running on the EOS blockchain. It's a mobile game. It's kind of in a kind of beta at the moment. It's seen pretty solid growth since it launched in kind of, or it didn't really launch, but since it launched its kind of beta and started doing marketing in March. So it kind of rose pretty steadily, dropped down a little bit to under 2,000, and now has been kind of heading upwards again. So it actually now is reaching an all-time high. So we've got here just under 3,000 daily active unique wallets. That's one reason for that, or one reason that could be the case is the it's a kind of not location based, but it's a based around real world location. So San Francisco was the first city that you could own this property in, so it's like a Monopoly style game. And then more recently they've opened up New York, and then they've recently had some more kind of events happening in the game. So that's I would imagine why we've seen this uptick, although obviously being careful about causation and correlation, but that would be what I would expect to be the reason for that. So that's up now, the third most popular blockchain game, and as I say, it's been growing pretty steadily throughout the year, or at least since March. So down the bottom, these are smaller blockchain games. Axie Infinity we've looked at before. It's going through a kind of a growth phase. Again, I've got another graph on that, so I won't get into too much detail. And also another game we've just pulled out. It just launched actually in mid-September, Lightbringer. So this is a game running on the Litecoin blockchain, which is interesting. The first game running on Litecoin. And it kind of grew quite strongly to about 1,000, dropped off a little bit. Again, I've got another graph to look at that in more detail. So we'll go and look at those in a bit more detail later on. Okay, before we get to those other in detail graphs, just a quick look at the trailing 30-day average. So this is a way of looking at the average activity spread over a longer period of time. So the trends become a bit easier to see when we're not looking at all the volatility of daily activity. So we can see, I mean, obviously it's the same data, just presented in a slightly different way in an averaged form. So top we have Splinterlands in blue, where we kind of see this peak. The average peak is just over 6,000, and now it's kind of dropped off a little bit. In red we have Crypto Dynasty going through this big decline. We have Prospectors pretty much exactly steady. We have the growth of Opland, and then we have these, and then we have Axie Infinity down the bottom. Actually, I've put in My Crypto Heroes because this was the most popular blockchain game running on Ethereum, and this is just to highlight again what the gas prices have done to games running on Ethereum. Or the vast majority of them. This game had 3,500 daily active unique wallets at the start of the year, and it's basically very quickly gone to zero because the gas prices on Ethereum, although they're a lot better than they used to be, are still too expensive for people to be paying for transactions. So this game's gone to zero. So that's what we see in terms of the broad trends over a 30-day period. So a bit more detail on Splinterlands. So as we've seen before, it has this characteristic peak every 2 weeks when the competitions are running. The reason we see that is because the higher you get in the competition over that 2 week period, the better the rewards you get, or the more rewards you get. So we've seen this, we've seen the growth, and then we see, as I've alluded to, this dropping away. So what happened here actually it was kind of like early September, is a new feature came in surrounding these every 2 week tournaments. And what it was a kind of a gating mechanic. So previously you just played the tournaments. The higher you ranked, you went from like a bronze league into a silver league, into, if you're good enough, into a gold league. And the higher you went up, the higher the league you went up, the more rewards you got. Now, one of the issues with that was there are in most blockchain games, or in most blockchains, there are bots, so just kind of automatic systems that can play these games. Splinterlands is not a super complicated game in terms of game logic. It's a trading card game, and so there were bots in the system. The developers knew that. And that just meant that these bots were just playing over and over again to try and win the rewards, because every time you win a game, you get rewards. Over time, if you win win about 25 games a day, then those rewards kind of taper off. So there is an anti-bot mechanic in there to some degree, but they brought in this other mechanic, which in some degree was anti-bot, in some ways was encouraging people to spend more money in the game, and there's now a power metric. So the game looks at your cards that you own and basically gives you a power number. And now you can't just continue up the tournament kind of reward system. It's gated by how much power you've got. So if you want to get up to the next league and get more rewards, you have to have a power level that is kind kind of correct for that league. So an example is for me, I can't get to the I can only get to the first level of the silver tournament league at the moment because my power isn't sufficient. So if I want to get up to the next level of the silver league, I have to spend more money and get better cards. So it's just a way of gating that. So it's not a surprise really that we see this mechanic coming in and then actually that causing a decrease in daily activity. Now we don't know how much of this is due to bots, and we don't know how much of this is just due to players not playing anymore. So for my example, I can't reach the kind of higher level, the higher leagues that I previously could. So basically now when I reach the league at which my power is appropriate for, then there's no point in me really playing anymore because I can't earn any more in that tournament. So from my personal point of view, that just means I play less than I used to because I can't get to the higher levels now unless I spend some money investing and buying more cards. So that will be the case, I imagine, for most players. That will also be the case for bots. So, but we can see here, this is a not a large decline. So it's back down. The levels are back down to where they were in kind of July. It's pretty minor. Obviously, we'll keep an eye on this and see how it goes, and potentially. Obviously, the developer of Splinterlands could tweak those levels a little bit as well. So we'll see what happens on that. But Splinterlands has experienced decline, but there is a kind of a reason why that has happened. That's all I am trying to say at this point. So as mentioned, here is Lightbringer. Lightbringer is like an idle RPG based on the Litecoin. Runs on the Litecoin blockchain. It's a PC game. You have to download a PC client. You have to sync it to the Litecoin blockchain. You need some Litecoin in order to play. To play the game. So fairly not the most accessible game. Let's put it that way. But we saw it launched on the 15th of September, and we saw this very kind of strong growth curve, or line really. Peaked just under 1,000 daily active unique wallets about just after the first week, 10 days sort of thing. And then since then we've seen a kind of steady decline, which looks like it's plateauing off at around 600 daily active unique wallets. I mean, the game is pretty hardcore. It is an idle RPG. There's not a lot of graphics in the game. You basically create characters, you send them off to grind out materials and XP, and then you can level them up. And there's an in-game marketplace where you can sell the items that you don't want, or the items that you're farming. So there's not actually that much in the game. There's nothing deep like alliances or anything like that yet. I imagine those kind of things may come. What I'd expect to see here is this level to kind of continue. I think it's the kind of game that you just kind of dip into kind of regularly and just kind of start upgrading your characters. So this isn't, again, I don't think it's particularly unexpected. What will be interesting to see is if this number, number of players will be driven up over time as more marketing comes in. I guess the developer needs to see needs to decide how much money it's going to spend marketing wise, and how high it wants to drive this. Obviously, as you get outside the blockchain space and people are interested in this game, then a high proportion will probably drop off because you need to know about blockchain really to play the game. It's not an accessible game. So again, nothing to be too surprised about. I guess the point is at what kind of plateau level this game will plateau at. The other thing is the developer can sometimes the developer does allow people to get a little bit of Litecoin for free to try out the game. So there's lots of levers they've got if they want to increase this level. It just depends how much they want to treat this as an experiment, and for how long they want to do that for, really. And finally, let's take a look at Axie Infinity. So Axie Infinity, game running on the Ethereum blockchain, kind of came out of the CryptoKitties kind of fan base. So it has a breeding element. You're breeding these Axies. There's now a battling element where you're battling them, and you win a token called the Small Love Potion. Sorry, when you win these battles, and then you can use that to breed these Axies. And a lot of this activity, this increase in daily activity, is being based around the price of some of the assets in the game. So the first spike here in July happened around the price of the small love potions. We'll have a look at a graph which shows that. But there was a big spike in the price of small love potions just for purely speculative reasons, nothing to do with the game. Just some third-party people decided they want to make the price go up, as people do these days. So we can see here, went from about 100 daily active unique wallets for a spike over 1,000, dropped back down again, but still higher than it was before. And then since then we've seen these quite a lot of volatility every day, but the activity is much higher than it previously was. And then recently we've seen another big spike, and this is based around the axes themselves, which are NFTs on the Ethereum blockchain. And there's been a bunch of trading around those. The price of those has gone up significantly. There's been a company has come in and spent $150,000 buying some of the more rare versions of these axes. And every time something like that happens in the news, it drives people back into Axie Infinity. So we kind of see this activity, and we should point out kind of what we're seeing here really is this is activity around their marketplace. So this is people trading Axies. A lot of the stuff that happens in the game wouldn't be tracked on the blockchain. So this is looking really at trading activity around Axies, the NFTs. So so we have a quick look at what's been going on in terms of those prices. So here we have small love potions. So looking at this on CoinGecko, one of the coin marketplace websites, currently worth about 3 cents. But if we scroll down here, we can see kind of what's happened over the last 90 days, actually 180 days. So we see this big spike, almost up to 20 cents, 20 US cents when the big speculation happened. And although it's dropped off from that quite a lot, it's still much higher than it was back here, 4,000th of a dollar. Now it's between $3 and $5. So it's these kind of spikes in the price of the small love potion that are driving the usage back into Axie Infinity. And we can also see what's going on with the marketplace. So this is on Lightbringer, the NFT marketplace page. And we can see here 5 marketplaces currently being tracked. There's Axie Infinity, the Axie marketplace here. So this is over the last 24 hours. There was 184 traders, up 32% on the last 24 hours. And you can just go and click on this, and we can get the actual more detail on what's going on with the Axie Infinity marketplace. So the last month, 3,000 wallets have come in and interacted with the marketplace. 20,000 transactions, $1 million of value. So we can kind of see if we kind of click through here maybe, so we can see there's this big spike, 560 ETH that was being traded when this company came in and bought these very expensive Axies. So that's what's been going on during September for blockchain games. So some of the usual trends we've seen really over the past 6 months have continued, but we've seen new launches, which is always great to see. So Lightbringer, a very new sort of game, I think. We've also seen some of the games that we've been around for a long time. Axie Infinity has been around for over 2 years now, and it's still managing to attract new audiences, bring new people in, kind of showing the potential of blockchain games, both in terms of its tokens and in terms of the value of its NFTs. So lots of interesting stuff going on, lots more interesting stuff to continue, I think, over the next few months. So please do subscribe to the channel if you're interested in blockchain games. Hopefully this kind of stuff is useful to you. But thanks for watching this video, and hope to see you again soon.